This session brought to you by Odyssey Games for pre-orders and sealed product, CCG Prime for tons of singles and supplies, Cardo Doko for international rulers looking for products, and fowtlibrary.com for articles and wonderful deck lists, as well as our guest lecturer members Vite Ramen and Darren Noblock. Class is in session. Hey there, rulers. Welcome back after what seems like 4 weeks of Force of Will all rolled into one to your favorite ever live Force of Will podcast. It's Office Hours, featuring myself, GMO73, and I'm joined by back from traveling Mike Rance.
I'm very tired, but I'm back.
And almost done being sick, Paul Reisman.
I'm really tired because I'm still sick.
I said almost done. We are here to talk about all things Force of Will. It has been a crazy week of spoilers from lots of different sources, which we'll talk about in a minute. But before we get started, just a few reminders. If you like what we're doing, want to consider supporting the channel, go ahead and click that join button down below to join the channel as a member, get access to all those cool emotes and support the channel, or just subscribe, which is 100% free. We appreciate that very much. Also, if you haven't already, you can check out Odyssey Games to get your pre-orders in for the new set. Judgment of the Rogue Planet boxes are currently available, so you should check those out. And Foul Fest is this weekend, so that's a thing. You know, having a party. It's gonna be great. And so because of that, there will be no feature match or deck profiles this week because I will be very busy. But we'll be coming back. We'll probably take this weekend, next week off, and then we'll be back at it the following week as we prepare for Judgment of the Rogue Planet and those crazy decks that we're going to be building. So, hey guys, did you know that we had like 4 weeks of spoilers in one?
Yeah, I'm looking at 32 different images.
Yeah, we had the official channel the official Force of Will Facebook page was covering a lot of light stuff. We've been covering darkness stuff every day. Fowtlibrary.com was given exclusive spoilers of the fire cards, and only FREAKING, the group from Spain, was given a bunch of the wind cards. So very clearly setting up for the water cards being the best saved for last because no one has looked at water cards yet. So we'll see how that goes. Paul is very, very excited. Unless Paul somehow also got given spoilers on a different channel that he's running that I didn't know exist, and this is how he premieres it.
Don't tell them.
Yes, the Rice Man, my favorite Force of Will
secret, so don't tell them.
Rice Tube. So we're going to go ahead and just jump right through because while there is a lot of stuff that is very similar based on the attributes, there's also a lot of stuff that's very different, and so let's jump in. So first off, we have these Solaris gears. There's one for every color, so we'll look at the artwork here in a little bit. They all do the same thing. They're essentially the I need to make a play on turn 1 to keep the engine going. Nothing really to say about that. They're neat. I think you can just pick one of them if you're playing Solaria because then all of your gears outside the game gain every color. But if you're playing Arc, which we'll talk about in a bit, you kind of need to focus on like what color you're basing things off of. Or if you're playing the Solara stations, very clearly, if you're playing the Solara stations, you'll just focus on one of them. So I'll flip through the artwork where you guys kind of talk about this idea of the kind of sameness of these cards.
They are equivalent, but
Control
different attributes.
C, Control V.
Yeah.
I know.
You know what? I'm okay with it.
Because
they're the one drops.
They do the thing. That's really all it is.
Like they do the thing.
They play they do the game plan that you play your game plan where you remove things and then they do the thing. And like talking about these cards is like talking about like my favorite like warm soup broth before you put the stuff into it.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I feel like there should be, there's got to be a little more. There's gonna be a little more added to the soup.
Yeah, like we're putting the stock in so that we can then start adding the other good things into the soup and make a delicious meal, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I love this metaphor. It's perfect.
The 2 drops of the broth.
Yeah.
The 2 drops of the broth, the guard gear giant, whatever the hell these things are the like they're like the scallions in your ramen.
Yeah, for sure. We do know that the what you see here on screen is you have the wind solarized gears. I've shown the darkness one it's a little spider robot thing, which is kind of cool. Crab. everything become grab. The solarized guards for every color do something a little bit different, so we'll talk about that in a minute. But the giants also all do the same thing, so I'll show that as well. So the gears and the giants do the same ability. It is then the or the titans, I guess, does the same regardless, which is this like when it leaves the field, you get to like buy something back at the end of the turn, not immediately. Which is, and they all kind of like do this little like look at the top three, put one back in your hand, remove the rest from the game to kind of keep the engine going, obeying this big body. Nothing too crazy from them, but they look very cool. But the guards do different stuff. So let's talk about the guards real quick. We'll start with Solarized Guard Wind. It's just recover up to one target non-Magic Stone entity and then remove the top card. So this guy pays for himself if you paid for it with Solarize, which I think is pretty solid.
I also like that it's like, Jeremy, it's a non-Magic Stone entity.
Yes. Oh no, never mind. Can't pay for itself. Good design. Hooray! Not free resonators.
Yeah, but it does mean that also this card can be a enabler for combos, maybe row TKs, just some way to kind of set up a big push.
Or like push in with something and then recover it to protect it or something like that.
Yeah.
Fire Guard, that's the lantern, which we'll get into the additions in a second. Sorry, my images are all tiny. Fire Guard just burns something for 800 damage to target J/Resonator. That's a fire card. And I mean, it's nothing to shake a stick at.
That
Fire
sure
card doing
is
fire
fire.
card things.
Yeah. And then light. If I remember correctly, if I gotta find light here. Nope, I don't know if I have the light one.
You do.
Solaris Guard Light.
It solarizes for 3, and then when you enter, you destroy up to one target rested non-Magic Stone entity. Remove the top card of your deck from the game, put a non-Magic Stone light card from your removed area into your hand. So it just like cycles.
Why do I not have the artwork for that readily accessible in my brain? That's okay.
You sent it to me.
So clearly I have it somewhere. It's because these images are so small. I'm not gonna worry about it. And then the darkness one, which I can pull up, is here. The darkness guard lets you make your opponent discard a card, which is darkness. There you go.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. Discard darkness deck's doing darkness deck things.
That's so crazy. The darkness deck does darkness deck things.
Yeah.
He's a spider snake boy.
So we've seen this kind of like 2-cost slot. Then we have the 3 costs, which we'll talk about here in or like the 2 costs. It's weird how it's like there's nothing 1 costs, but the 2 costs are kind of 1 costs. And
Jeremy, everything's a 1 cost.
5 costs are kind of 2 costs. Yeah, that's fair. So we've got really the suite is, from what we've seen so far, it's the gears, which is the recycler kind of engine piece. There's the guard. There's the titan. There's the some kind of addition. And then there's like a trooper type of thing, like just a generic foot soldier kind of effect. So we know that the recyclers and the titans are the same kind of across the board. We've kind of gone through the guards, which I think there's nothing like insane about them, but like not bad, especially because they're like pretty decent stat lines. The additions, I think, is when we start to see some pretty cool stuff happen. So I'm going to start with the darkness addition to start here. We have interference of the darkness Solaricite. So these all have that same kind of thing where if you don't control a resonator and you have a matching attribute ruler or matching race ruler, you can get rid of the specific will cost and just play the generic, which means that off of a solarization, you could potentially make this card free. And they all on enter refuel the engine, and then they all have a tap banish effect. So tap, your opponent banishes a resonator, you lose X hundred life, where X is the defense of the resonator, banish this way, and then at the next end of turn, you remove interference from the game. Force Banish is like surprisingly good in Force Will. Like, especially lately with how much stuff there's been that like gets eternal. Being able to like leave your opponent with just a Rumsfeld because you've like successfully popped everything off, or like they get greedy and play a Rumsfeld too early and be like, banish it, is like pretty nice. So that's interesting to me.
There is
I'm
a
very
restriction that you can
surprised
only
this
play
card-
it during either player's main phase, which is interesting.
Yes.
So you can't do it during combat.
It's also specifically, well, I think that's true, but also it's specifically so that you can't like get two uses off of it, is the whole idea. Like if I flash it in during my recovery phase, I could tap it immediately, force you to banish, recover, tap it again. So like it's trying to kind of keep the card in check because I can't like double tap it, which I'm happy for.
Yeah.
Why was this card not a chant?
Because it has the tap ability.
I get that. But remove this card from the game at the next end of turn.
Yeah. It's like to me these cards, because it's very clear that Solaria and Arc are going to be playing in a world where they don't get to make use of like signature staples from throughout the game's history, that these additions serve as their like will sync setup stuff, where they get to like end of turn or see these other things kind of set up this like barrage of traps that they just kind of are laying the groundwork, because they won't get access to, you know, as many of the same kind of cards that we would normally get by not playing those decks, right? So the fact that they're additions, I think, is a way to give them a tool to play through those interaction sequences. But also, again, I think that they were very fairly designed in the fact that you can't use them during the recovery phase, which is nice.
There's also that sense of like you can still cancel it like you would a chant, but when you go to tap it, you can still interact with it with other forms of interaction like Lorite. So you can stop the activate ability. So I mean, it just adds more interaction to the cards, which I think is okay too.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that there's a lot of restrictions against this card, and like you mentioned, a lot of room for somebody to interact with it.
Aw,
Where it's
Patrick. Welcome to the
Hey,
support
thanks,
staff level,
Patrick.
buddy. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you.
Thanks for the support.
Hey-o. Next up, we have the Binding of the Light Solaris. This one just rests something and then forces it not to recover. This is, to me, the one that I'm really glad it can't be used during the recovery phase, so that you can like double activate it, because I think this card is very good if it could do that. Even as it stands now, I think it's pretty decent. It's very neat. I know that there are some people who've been talking about like, well, you do this in Ainz. Ainz can reveal these and get the tap ability. I'm like, yeah, because of the fact that these are during the main phase only. Yeah, sure. You give Ainz another tap ability. Do you want to?
remove your eyes?
Well, you can't remove Ainz from the game, but
Why
like
not?
you just want
It
to. You want
says
to.
in the cards effect.
You want to skip Stone Call to rest a thing. You know what I mean? Like none of these are strong enough that I'm like, ah, yes. Ainz will reveal this and break the game. That's
these are clearly made with Ainz in mind as a potential like abuse option. So
yeah,
they were like,
so
yeah, we're not gonna do that.
Then we have the recover additions in Force of Will.
Mikey can no, he clones additions. He doesn't recover
Yeah,
additions.
that's right.
I don't think we have anything that specifically recovers specifically additions.
See, that's something I find interesting with these cards.
Next up, we have the Lantern, which deals 400 damage, and then at the next... So this one's also different. This one says at the next end of your turn. So this one can be potentially double triggered. use it once during your opponent's turn and once during your turn, which I think is probably fine because it's still like that's only 800 damage for 2 will of an investment. I think that's probably okay. That this one gets to carry over into like 2 potential turns. It's just very interesting that this one specifically gets that added caveat.
Well, it's a
Actually,
potential.
it's
It's a
800 damage for
potentially free
0.
800 damage that can be recycled too. So
Yeah.
that's not nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good
The other
tool.
thing about the fact that these guys, I think one of the biggest things about these editions and why they're still totally used, like, I think they're very, very good, is because you have to imagine that the tap ability is actually tap ramp 1. Because when they remove themselves from the game, suddenly they're online for solarization. Right? So it's actually tap performability delayed ramp, which I think is very relevant for decks that are going to be using solarization stuff. Matt Seymour, we miss you too, buddy. It's so good to see you. Hope things are going well with your little one. I hope you're enjoying being a dad. It's pretty great.
Oh,
Congrats.
Canada.
We do have the wind one of these, which is I gotta pull this image up real quick and cover us all up. It is the tornado of Wind Solaricier. Killua getting tossed her out of the tornado, and the flavor text is Brad just being a dick. The flavor text is Brad was idly watching Killua getting sucked into the tornado, never even lifting a finger to help. Just like, huh, she goes. Okay.
Yeah, that sucks.
Brad said, fuck you.
Brad just kind of got babysitting duty with Killua. He was just like, I'm a bad
defy
babysitter.
you, aggro woman. Anyway.
So tap target J/Resonator you control gains +5/+5 and has the Magic Stone type Wind Magic Stone until end of turn. That's pretty neat. I think that's pretty cool for Maya decks too, of like being able to just make your own things Wind Magic Stones. So that's pretty nice. Doesn't one of the flavor texts mention that they're related? I don't know if that does say on the Brad and Killua card, Killua does call Brad Uncle Brad. But I think that's more of the like, I see you as an elder kind of thing, and I don't know how people work because I'm a dinosaur girl who was trapped in ice. So it's just like, like a kid looking up to a grown up, like Uncle Dad, Uncle Brad. Can I have candy? Like, I think that's kind of the vibe. Not that they're actually related.
Yeah. I think that's more of like a term of endearment rather than like, you are my uncle.
He's more of a father figure, if you'll say it that way. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, like, I have a person in my life that I call my uncle, but I have no blood relation to at all. Like, just like that kind of like connection kind of thing. So that's what I get when I view this. We still don't have the water one of these editions, but that's pretty neat. We do have these like resonators though. We'll start with these like the troopers. We have the Fairy of Solaricier, 2-cost fairy gears, same kind of thing, can be paid on 1. When it's destroyed, you can remove a light card in your hand or graveyard from the game and then recycle it rested. So these like troops just like keep coming back over and over again, which is interesting because it lets you like take cards from your graveyard and remove them from the game to then set up more solarization stuff. So very clearly they're saying, we recognize that these rulers are not going to be able to call stones consistently, so their cards are going to let them continue to play cards. Like, and I think that's pretty well designed. And so that's pretty neat. Banish a Resonator, you gain 400 life.
Whoa.
It's not crazy. This, though, is something that Ainz would maybe just reveal, to just have a sack outlet that is gain 4 life. It does mean that Ainz would like permanently lose the ability to gain life and give flying to gears you control, because he specifically says, like, doesn't he specifically say it's only one of each attribute? I have to look up Ainz now. I've played Ainz so much I should know. Doesn't share a name. So you can reveal bird and fairy and still get flying and banish. Sack outlets are weird when they're just free. Cough, cough, Leviton. Cough, cough. But like gain 400 life isn't like crazy. It's not like actually winning you the game. It's just kind of like, oh, your spot removal is worse now because I can just banish stuff. Let's see. Brad, wait, does Fairy Alice play that for free though? You could, if you get a card in your RFG that's 1 white to pay for the solarization cost. Yeah, you could. So you solarize for 1 white, and then Fairy Alice is a white J/ruler, so you could play it for free. That is possible. Yep.
Pretty neat.
The fire one of these is, where is the boy? I know I have that one. Yeah, I sent that to you, right? There he is. So the fire one of these is our first exhibit of belligerence. So it gets that swiftness only to attack resonators on the turn it comes into play. J/resonators on the turns that it enters the field. So pretty neat. Has that same kind of recycling effect. Not crazy, but neat. I'm actually really excited to play this format limited, this set. I honestly think it could be a lot of fun. I'm very excited to play. Like, I think you play with the Solaris stations. Hey, Paul, remember when we played that one format, Dragon Duel format, with like the dragon rulers from is H6 pre-release just Dragon Ruler format, or like Dragon Duel format 2.0? Because of the Solaris stations. I'm here for it. I'm in for it.
This is like Vingolf 3 Dragons face off now. Hooray.
Casual reminder that Gearsification Facility and 3 Wise Men is a thing, so you can technically do it with those Gears editions. Just saying. You're not wrong. Like, I definitely think that there is something there for it, but the fact that they can only be used during main phase and like that they would take up sideboard slots for Eins is just kind of like, I don't know if any of those effects are so great that I would want to invest a whole part of my engine to make revealing them from outside the game work.
Yeah. If the argument is that is something you can do, correct. That is an action you can take. Should you do that action? I don't care.
Yeah, maybe not. I mean, it might be cool to play like control Eins that way, right? With the additions and stuff. Unless he just gets like hard combo banned with them, which seems doubtful. The fire one is that. The wind one was just spoiled today from only fowtcg. It was spoiled this morning. Little doggo. And it just is a magic wind type magic stone. Like its ability is just a continuous ability. It's just a little doggo that is a wind magic stone. Probably the weakest one of all of them. Like it's, I guess.
Is it like a squirrel?
It's a dog. It's by itself. It's an image that's by itself. Beast of Solarisire. Squirrel is the little recycler.
I was looking at squirrel instead.
Yeah, squirrel is the little recycler dude. Solarization in Steven seems fun. Yes, I agree. Solarization in Steven does
Solarization and Order Athenia seems good.
Also, yes, for sure. There's a lot of stuff with playing around with the RFG that look very fun. And then let's talk about the darkness one, because we're right here, and I have it, and I haven't spoiled it yet. You guys ready? Here we go. This is Ethereal of Solarisire. It is an ethereal gears that can recycle itself, and it has the ability of banish a resonator. Your opponent loses 200 life.
You know what that means?
What were we saying about Eins? What were we saying about Eins?
Yikes.
Hey, do you guys remember how there are like certain combos in Forceful that let you create infinite tokens forever, and how Eins just comes stock with this thing? Me too.
Hey, remember how in the OCG they banned Cannon Soldier?
Yeah.
Cannon Soldier now, feel old yet?
Yeah, I mean, let it be known that I have already, like, upon seeing this card and the banish for extra life card, been like, hey, maybe just be considerate of the fact that Eins exists and can reveal this card, and just have an activate ability of banish a reso, your opponent loses 200 life.
I'm going to bring back the Wendy Magic Baton
Shackles. Start playing
Kagi,
Shackles against Ainz, right? Like, start having Shackles of Ice so that you can't do
terrible.
this.
Or
Terrible.
Rumsfeld too.
Rumsfeld won't do
But
anything
it won't do
Let me-
anything because he's a singleton.
because it's a single ruler.
Yep.
let
So
me
never
pull it
mind.
up.
I mean, like, it's easy. This is, again, it's easy enough, which is like Solaria's Wind and Sword, Ainz plus this card, like, very easy. Just kind of tack those onto the combo ban list to stop them from getting out of control. It's just purely because it's just banish a Resonator, your opponent loses 2 life. Like, it's just a free sack outlet that makes spot removal feel bad. Like,
I mean, considering we have
I'd rather-
pawns in the game where you just like put a whole bunch of bodies on board and then just sack them off. We just got prototype back.
Chronopons. Yeah, Chronopons. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah, for sure. So there you go. There's that. Let's see. Let's go talk about the super rares. 'Cause I think we've additions, the troopers, the recon gears, the titans, the additions. Yeah, let's talk about the super rares, which is the tag combinations. We've seen Reinhardt and Asuka last week. We saw Aristella and Hyde last week. Now let's talk about Vega and Electra. 3 cost, that gets cost 1 less for each copy of Vega or Electra that you control as a ruler. Pay 1 black to deal 400 damage to something, and you lose 600 life, which is weird. It's like Sealed One-Eyed Dragon, I guess, but also paying your own life for Vega, I suppose.
I think it's so like
and then,
you can't like just burn your opponent out like mana sinking.
Yeah, for sure. It also like sets you up for Berserker being able to be like, oh, I'm down to 2,000 life, right?
Yeah.
Pay 1 red, put an armament sub-ruler you control from outside the game into your ruler area, and then upgrade it. Play this ability only during your turn and only once per turn. And then when it leaves the field, you can go get Electra or Vega based on who you have, get rid of your Moon Children, and either get a white or darkness will coin, or get an armament sub-ruler for fire and an armament sub-ruler for darkness and put them into the field into your ruler area immediately. We talked before about how these tag resonators are very clearly driven towards the non-H1 ruler. Like, sure, they are usable by the H1 ruler, but they're very clearly not towards the H1 ruler. This is strangely the case, but in a way that's really weird. You want to just start as Vega with this card. And the reason why that is because the new CR update specifically says you cannot have more than 1 copy of a sub-ruler in any deck. So if you have armaments in an EX deck, they can't be in your sideboard, and this card grabs armaments from your sideboard. So it ironically is better to just not have an EX deck, start as Vega, and have the exact armaments you want be in the sideboard so that you can just grab them with choice instead of being random, and then bring in Electra and finish things off. So it's like Vega sets the table for Electra, and then Electra kills your opponent. Paul has thoughts.
But you could make the same argument for starting with Electra in the sense of I'm going to craft my 7 armaments in my EX deck as the worst ones.
Sure.
And then I just get the ones that I want out of my sideboard because I already have a sideboard full of high armaments anyway.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair too. That's fair too. You could just make the sideboard, or you could just make the EX deck like the worst ones. And then you just have more. But I find that Electra really only needs like 3 or 4 armaments before she starts to get really out of hand.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this gets you 3 of them by existing.
Yeah, and I think it allows you to like craft what those 3 are going to be depending on your meta. So you just put those in your sideboard and say like, well, if there's a lot of weenies, I'll just play the bow. Or if there are things that are trying to kill me during battle, I'll just get the headband.
Yeah, Yo-Yo-Y, but then your contracts are dead until this reso resolves its effect. For sure, 100%. That is certainly something to be considerate of. But I also don't need to play nearly as much like armament geared stuff in the deck when I'm just getting all my armaments off of this card. Right? And that frees up a ton of the deck for me to be able to play other good stuff instead of armament grabbers. Like, you know, that kind of thing. That's my thoughts. So, I don't know. I'd rather just start with Vega and then, like, know full well that I'm setting up to just bring in an Electra ready to contract right away off of this card.
Well, it also benefits Electra in that she gets a ruler that can still call stone.
While she's contracted.
While she's contracted, because, like, why would you call stone? I still think this is better for Electra than it is for Vega. Like,
agreed.
Vega does not care about this. He still has his main combo, but he just doesn't have Sprinting Steward anymore.
Yeah, there's something to be said about, like, letting him have, because he has First Strike and Bane, there's something to be said about, like, letting him have Headband for, like, during combat, or, like, giving him Lance, like the high armament of Lance, to make Berserker just a truck, or, like, you know, that kind of thing, or, like,
my love for you is
you don't get a high armament, you just get an armament.
Yeah, but then, like, the Electra contracts can give you a high armament, so, like, that, you know, it's a toss up. I do think it's like 75-25 Electra for Vega, but it's not like a bad card for Vega, which is exactly what I think we've all been wanting out of these resonators, is just, like, more for the non-H1s, but still kind of something for the H1s, which is neat.
Sure. I can agree with that.
Now we have the one that, honestly, when I saw the image, I was scared to death of what it was going to bring, and honestly, I'm okay with it. I'm not scared to death of it. We have, where is it? Nope, that's the Titan. Gosh dang it. Tiny images. Here he is. We have Brad and Killua. So, same kind of thing. 3 cost 9/9 gets cheaper. Pay 1 green to put a knowledge counter on a Jade Ruler you control and draw a card. Play this only ability during once per turn. Pay 1 red, double the attack and defense of this card until end of turn, and then remove an ice counter from something you control. Play this ability only during your turn and only once per turn, which then draws you a card because you're Killua. So both ones. And then the modes are gain a will coin of red or green, or put 2 knowledge counters or 2 ice counters on a ruler you control. For rulers named Brad.
Oh.
Did anyone have Saga Cluster support on their bingo card?
I never
Did
have
not.
Saga Cluster
By the
on my
way,
bingo cards.
Like, this is so cool that, like, the Saga Cluster Brad, it got support to be, like, kind of scary. Mainly because the new XR, if you start as Killua and bring in Brad, first off, start as Killua, bring in Brad, you probably have at least 3 stones at that point in time, which means Brad will come in with 2 more knowledge counters, meaning you're at 2 knowledge counters, 3 stones, meaning then you'll probably very easily get a 4th stone and another knowledge counter, so you're, like, at seal 7 immediately. Which means free number 13s, which means you're very, very close to all of Brad's spells being unsealed. Like, that's crazy.
That's real.
Secondly, the new XR specifically says when you perform Judgment with a ruler that you brought in from outside the game, you destroy up to 1 target non-Magic Stone entity and draw a card. Brad has Imperishable and Barrier, and can Judgment multiple times a turn, and can Judgment while tapped. Flipping Brad is now a spot removal spell. Every single time you flip him. Or you can just have him ping himself, and then Judgment again, and then ping himself, and then Judgment again, and then ping himself, and then Judgment again.
Heard you like drawing cards.
Yeah, that Brad will be making waves as a deck.
I will say, I have one gripe with this card.
Go for it.
The flavor text refers to them as Killua and Brad, and the card refers to them as Brad and Killua. I will not stand for this.
That's a good gripe.
This is the hill I'm dying on.
We stand for consistency in this podcast.
We do stand for consistency.
Paul, what are your thoughts on the Brad ruler getting support in the year of our Lord 2023?
I mean, good because he was bad.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
he was bad. It needed the buff.
One letter away from bad.
Out of all of the rulers from Assault into the demonic world, he was by far the worst.
Yeah.
And so like, cool, I guess. I mean, I don't know why it's not another ruler, but yeah.
I mean, like it's lore related. There really wasn't anyone to like partner with Killua, you know, because Reflected Refrain are back on Cocoon, being like deuces.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know, we needed a green ruler to partner with Killua, and we got Brad. I think it's cool. I think it's very, very cool to bring the Immortal Sage back. Now,
Yeah.
maybe the 8th ruler is Brad in this set, and we're going to get a new Brad that we haven't seen, but that seems doubtful. But overall, this is just, I like this a lot. This is very cool. I dig it. It's a cool way. Then we haven't seen any more of these cards yet. We're still waiting on the water one, which will be T2 plus Falchion. We know that for a fact. So let's take a quick break and look at some cool promos that got released. First off, these are these November promos. We have Persephone, the 11th Olympian, officially changed to have the inheritance tag.
Consistency.
Yeah. This is gorgeous. This artwork is absolutely gorgeous. Hands down, so good. But also gorgeous is this Null Magic Stone artwork from Sigmund. A very cool promo. Like, strong choices of cards and gorgeous artwork for the reprints.
Yeah, this artwork's dank. This is great.
Like, this is very, very cool. So keep it up, Barzville. Continue to rock out with these amazing promos.
Dankest.
Next up, we have Dominatus Chrono Gear and its like spell. Did I grab the spell or did I just grab Dominatus? I think I might have. No, we talked about the.
Yeah, we have
go.
Dominatus Chrono Gear, and then we have the Solarized Gladius.
Dominatus Chrono Gear, we don't really have to talk about because we already talked about the promo last week, and it has the exact same language and has been updated to have the same like tap effect, like the proper language there. But we have Dominatus, the Solarized Gladius, 2-cost Mythic, Solarization 1, only usable if you don't control a ruler named Tina. So like Tina has been then converted into this essentially. Enter, draw a card, put a 4/4 Light Fairy Gears Resonator token with flying into the field, and you can tap to banish it to reveal a Dominatus you own from your sideboard, put a J-Ruler token copy of its J-Ruler side into the field rested, give it Gears, and then at the next beginning of the end phase, if it is still a token, you lose it. So you essentially kind of like get their contract side for a turn. But you can only do it during your turn, and only if the combined number of fairies you control and light cards in your removed area is 6 or more, and there's no way to reduce that. It's not like the seals where you can like reduce them down to only needing 1 or 2 or whatever. The fact that it comes into play rested is weird.
Yeah.
But someone did point out that you can technically reincarnate onto these tokens because at least as current CR stands, reincarnation is when the card of that name enters the field, and this puts the token that has that name into the field. So this is essentially a way for you to like be able to get Dominatus without having to play Tina at all. You can just reincarnate the Dominatus over it, which is very interesting and makes me very glad that it's not instant speed, like during both players' turns, that it's only during your turn, right? Like, I don't know. I don't know what I think about these cards.
Yeah. Well, because like, especially since you can only do it on your turn, and it comes into the field rested. I don't really see the point of this card unless we just haven't seen something that's going to make any
Unless
use of it.
the question for me is like, does the Dominatus that I then bring into the field, all if I reincarnate on top of the token, also rested? Does it come into play like it doesn't match orientation to what it's coming in as? Which then for me, let me put this out there. I hope that is the case, because I want I don't want, like, I want, if you're going to do this essentially like free reincarnation at instant speed, I want the downside to that to be it's tapped. Like, yes, you got a big thing, it's reincarnated, good for you. You're not going to be able to use it the same turn that you brought it in, right?
And then it gets banished at the end of turn.
The token wouldn't get banished because it stops being on the field, so it stops having the ability, so your reincarnated card just kind of gets to keep existing. This is a very clear example of like this whole archetype of this specific card becomes, hi, need company Q&A document, please. Also need to have cards in hand to understand, please. Because
Yeah.
it's like, we can go down a massive rabbit hole of how complicated this will be, which also to me is like not worth it. Like, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of this card. Doesn't Dominatus have to reincarnate onto Tina? Yeah, but you get a J Ruler token of the copy of Dominatus Star Gladius, which on its backside is Tina.
Yeah. It's treated as Tina on its J Ruler side.
Yeah, so you could
So then
reincarnate onto it.
you get to use the Inherit the Stars ability to reincarnate it into Tina. Does it stop being a token J Ruler at that point?
Yeah. But then it doesn't have any abilities. Like, it'll just like kind of cease to exist. It's weird. Yeah, it's very strange. Like, we need these regalia. We need the company like Q&A to really understand well. But
yeah,
let's talk about the other ones that have been spoiled. We have Protuberance. All of these regalia have the exact same kind of abilities. It's just like they do something on enter that's similar to the regalia. You can't play them if you're playing with their matching ruler. They can make a J Ruler token, blah, blah, blah. But let's talk about the Chrono Gear side of it. So Protuberance Chrono Gear, 1200. Inherit the Stars has the same kind of like, they all buy back a resonator whenever they get tapped. Protuberance, though, has the ability of tap, target a J resonator your opponent controls. This card deals X hundred damage to your opponent, where X is the attack of the chosen target. So you're like, hey, you have stuff? Burn you because you have stuff. It's pretty good. And then has tap. This card does 400 damage to target player or J/resonator. That's the other reason why I really hope that these cards match attribute with or match orientation of the token if you reincarnate it, because they all have these tap abilities. So it'd be like, sure, you reincarnated. I have a turn to try to answer that card before you get to start using its tap abilities. Right. Like I hope that that's the counterplay that comes in there. But we'll have to see.
Mm-hmm. That inheritance to like load the graveyard is really helpful to make sure this card gets reincarnated, and
it's neat. We have the wind one as well. Let me pull that up here real quick. Oh, we should also probably talk about the wind J Ruler. Let's talk about the wind J Ruler for a second too, while we have it. The solarization, the avatar of wind Solaricites. Very hard to read, but essentially its enter ability, or its continuous ability, is resonators you control gain tap to produce any color or void for cards with solarization. as a will ability. So essentially solarization version of what Avatar of the Wind Magic Stones did. And on enter, you put 4 1/1 tokens into the field. So you just like make 4 mana dorks for the next turn for solarization.
Or Elf Gears tokens.
Or Elf Gears tokens. Yeah. That's neat. I like that. Next
Definitely
up
calls
we
back
have
to the original
very good.
original Avatar.
Yeah. And sorry that image wasn't super clear. Vingolf 3? What? Yeah. Yeah, the avatars are canon now, but also bad. Mm-hmm.
Evil Tars.
So this is Tiger Plateado, same kind of thing, counts as a wind magic stone. On enter, draw a card, has the same kind of buyback. Its inheritance ability is put a 5/5. You can tap to give something +5/+5 and pierce. Inheritance is put a 5/5 Beast Gears Resonator on the field that has the wind magic stone type wind magic stone. Nothing too crazy there. The artwork on it is sick though. Like really, really, really cool. Yeah, nothing crazy here. I mean, I do think it is good Maya support. Like I think all of these inheritance abilities on the like Chrono Gears are just base good support for their matching ruler. So like this is a big buff to Maya, which is kind of nice because Maya hasn't really had a reason to be the main star of the show for any of these rulers right now, but this inheritance ability kind of lets you have that, which I like a lot. Yeah, Gloria slips into a human. This card has inheritance. Inheritance! You guys want to see the dark one?
Yeah.
The dark one is, in my opinion, gross. So this is Life Zapper, the Solaris-sized statue. Does the same kind of thing. But on enter, you draw a card. You put 2 4/4 Darkness Ethereal Gears Resonator tokens into the field. They gain. Banish this card. Your opponent loses 200 life until end of game. Those are ethereal tokens that don't banish themselves at the end of the turn.
They stay.
Those are ethereal tokens that you get to determine when they vanish.
Seems pretty good.
Remember when I said they were just like, these past 2 sets were great for dark?
Here you go.
What have we done? This is crazy.
You have to put the draw card part on there, like they did.
What if Darkness had Cannon Soldier
and
Cannon Soldier?
Yeah. The fact that it draws a card and puts 2 bodies on field that just get to stay there is like an absolutely insane boost to Stein, but you can't use it with Stein.
And it actually is a cannon.
Yeah, it is a big old cannon. You can't give free draw to Darkness like that. Yeah, but let's talk about Life Set for Chrono Gear. So 12/12, same kind of thing. And its inheritance is, oh look, put 2 4/4 Darkness Ethereal Resonator tokens into the field. They gain, banish this card, your opponent loses 200 life until the end of the turn.
It also says tap, your opponent banishes 2 resonators, which is really cute.
This card is an automatic 4 of in every Stein deck. If Stein is your ruler of choice, play 4 of this card. There is no reason to not. It is. You thought
I think you'd be playing Stein. You literally get 2 4/4 bodies that deal damage.
Sure, yeah. I mean, like, play this in any Darkness deck, but also just like in Stein, this card is cracked. Yeah, this card is absolutely cracked. Like, take the ethereal that reveals from outside the game and makes 2 dudes. Take that out of your deck, all 4 copies. That's super rare from the last set. Throw it in the garbage. It's gone. Replace it with 4 copies of Life Zapper. Instantly better.
Instantly better. Also, coolest Gundam. I'm saying here, it's the coolest Gundam.
Plus 4 cards for my Killua burn deck. Give you the flavor text. The creature that once showed Reinhardt how to reach his goal is now trying to deter him. There you go. There you go. Yeah, these are.
Yeah.
This card is. This card is so good. It's pay 1 black, put 12 damage on board.
It seems
At instant
beast.
speed. Crazy.
That is. There's no way. There's no way this isn't getting like some kind of errata. Just.
I don't think so. I think it 100% is. I mean, like it's easy enough that you can like mess with it. Like we have stuff that messes with tokens or like stops tokens from entering the field or like any of that stuff. Like there's certainly some ways you can play around it.
Jeremy.
Yeah.
+5/+5 and Pierce. 2 darkness resonators with banish this card.
Well, no, the wind one made a token. All of these ones make a token, except for the red one burns something. This is by far the strongest of them.
Oh right,
the green one makes a token.
That was
the tap ability is forcing your opponent to banish 2 dudes, which is still good. Don't get me wrong. The inheritance ability is the strongest part of this card.
Okay. So I'll reiterate this then. 5/5 that counts itself as a wind magic stone.
Yeah.
2 400/400 darkness ethereal gears resonator tokens with banish this card. Your opponent loses 200 life.
Yeah. Pay 1 black. Your opponent loses 400 life.
I Spy's favorite color is darkness. For sure.
Jeremy's favorite color is darkness.
Yeah.
And I Spy was like, Jeremy hasn't had good darkness cards in a while. Let's
Jeremy
apologize
hasn't
by making this card.
enough. Paul's had enough good blue cards. Let's
we gave Paul Ray Asdemol and Muse staring at. That's as far as we go. You know what? I'm convinced. They're apologizing for creature staring at being so bad. They were like, we gave Paul a really good staring at. We gave, Mike a really good light staring at to be able to goof around with Prego TK. We didn't give Jeremy a darkness staring at or a wind staring at because both of those are bad. So let's give him the best inheritance ability for Life Zapper Chrono Gear.
Jeremy, we're sorry. Here, take these.
Here you go. Apology accepted, I Spy.
Will you also accept this cannon soldier from my wallet?
Yeah, I'll take it. No, this card is very, very good. And then let's see. I also get to show off. Let me check my schedule here, because I know that there's something else I get to show off tonight. I believe it's the token generator. That's like today's the 23rd
tonight.
Oh, I don't get to. Nope, that'll come tomorrow. So I have to. I think the last card from the official spoilers at this point in time is Tina's Wings, right? Yeah. So Tina's Wings, 5 cost, Solarization 4, make 5 flying fairy tokens.
Boom.
Yeah,
wow.
There you go.
Potentially a 1 cost, which is not bad.
Yeah. I mean, you have to solarize 4 back, but like pay 1.
Essentially a 1 cost.
Yeah, it's neat. It's neat. And we'll have more of these kind of cards in the coming days over the course of this week.
Didn't the Dark Swan get spoiled?
Nope. Because it's in my drive, and I'm not allowed to show it until tomorrow.
Nice. So it wasn't spoiled, and it doesn't exist currently.
Yeah, right.
Correct.
Exactly. I mean, people know that I have cards still to reveal. I haven't shown off a lot of things that they've shown me to show off.
I just need you to look into this little light and pretend that you heard nothing, okay?
So that's all the cards from the current set.
Wait,
it's not. We have a ruler to talk about.
What?
We have Arc. Was spoiled in an official video. Gosh, this guy is a wall of text, and I'm so excited about it.
He's also just a wall.
He's also just a wall, literally just a wall. So the way Arc works is his Judgment is you take 4 of his card called Arc Gear Satellite and all of your Magic Stone decks and put them back into your deck. That's how you work. As the game starts, you go into your Magic Stone deck and you get an Arc Gear Satellite and remove it from the game. And then lose a will coin. If you have a will coin, it's gone. You don't get to start with one as Arc. If you would call a Magic Stone, you remove X Magic Stones from your deck to the out of game, equal to the number of stones your opponent has. So if your opponent has 3, you remove 3, 2, 2, so on, so forth. And then you can put a stone from your RFG back on the bottom of your stone deck in order to pay for the cost of It's so hard to read. Replicants, spells, or abilities, or gears, replicants, or spells, gears or replicants, spells, or abilities instead. So you have a 5-cost gears, you can put 5 stones back to pay for its cost. But keep in mind that's in conjunction with any solarization discounts that you're using as well. So like that's how that plays out. And then it has that same, your opponent can't make you pay more will. And at the beginning of the game, you get to start with Arc Gears Grail from your out of the game and put it into the field. If you do, though, you have to burn a card out of your hand, which, oh well. Arc Gears Grail, for those of you who don't remember, says each player can only recover 1 stone a turn.
That's fine, because I don't use stones.
yeah, that's fine for Arc. He doesn't care.
I use stones, but not the way you use stones.
Yeah, I use stones differently. I don't really need to tap them. And then he flips over into a 0. This card is so flavorful. I love it. So it's a 0/0 that gains +5/+5 for every stone in your Magic Stone deck. He cannot be targeted or destroyed by spells or abilities your opponent controls. Keep in mind that he does not have Eternal. He does not have Barrier. He just cannot be destroyed or targeted by things. This is important difference. If he leaves the field for any reason, you lose the game. So big boss monster gets killed, you lose. And then says if you would, has that same kind of discounting cost ability, right? If an ability, same kind of thing. And then whenever your opponent would rest a card, an entity of any kind, you get to remove a stone from outside the game. And then at the beginning of your recovery phase, it then gets to go back into the deck. So whenever your opponent takes action, just by taking an action, they give you resources that you can then start using. And then the whole idea is if your opponent can use Magic Stones enough, can use the power of will enough to rest enough stuff in a single turn to get you through all of your resources, you go down to being a 0/0 and then you get destroyed. So the force of will destroys Arc, which is just so cool. It's so cool. Just like that's so good. I think that's such a cool idea. And then let's talk about Arc Gear Satellite. So you get to start the game with one of this. At the beginning of each of your main phases, it can go from your outside the game into the field. And it has the ability of tap and then remove it from the game to remove the top stone of your deck from the game, thus ramping you 1 for being able to put it back on the bottom of your deck, so producing a will. And making a 2/2 token that you can banish to remove the top card of your deck from the game, so to help pay for solarization costs. It counts as a will ability, right? So I think it does. Does it say count as a will ability? Maybe it doesn't.
Does not.
Doesn't say it's a will ability, so it can be lore-rated, I suppose. But also, like, you're just going to get this ability 4 times every single... Like, once you hit at least 2 of these stones, you're just getting multiple of this effect every single turn. So I don't think you're burning Lorites on this ability. So, to kind of explain what this means, if Arc starts with this, turn 1, going first, gets to put the stone into play, banishes it, removes itself, removes the stone. Has 2 stones that it can use to pay cost. Gets a token. The token banishes and removes 1 solarization card. So you have 3 resources to play with on turn 1 if you burn this stone, or 2 resources to play with if you want to keep this stone for the following turn. Bearing in mind that the Solaris stuff has this like cost discount kind of stuff for solarization and stuff like that, means that Arc will be able to take game state actions at the beginning of the game without stones. You 100% will be able to play this game using the Gears cards without stones, which is also a big lore win for me. Like, just so cool. Matt Seymour. Oh, that's the game's name. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
Oh,
Yeah.
he said
Yeah.
the name. He said the name.
He said the name. So
cue
that's Arc.
Leonardo DiCaprio pointing meme.
Yeah.
Leonardo Di Carpaccio.
Paul, I'm curious to hear your thoughts about Arc and why it's a 20 stone deck.
I mean, we've had this discussion before the podcast, but the big question was whether or not you play 10 stones so you can Judgment more consistently, or if you play 20. I'm leaning more and more, the more I think about it, into 20, just because I don't want my opponent to just have 10 things that they can rest and kill me. 20 seems to be the way to go. This card also does not have natural piercing, so I'd be curious if there's a way to give him that so I can win the game more easily with him. I also wonder if, I mean, like, I want to Judgment this thing because then it opens its eye and starts doing technically things, which is cool. I'm all for that, but I also don't know if you Judgment to win with this all the time.
To me, I think that judgmenting this guy just means I have a handful of replicants, and if you take game state actions, I'm going to start throwing replicants at you.
Yeah.
Like over and over and over and over and over again. Right? So the fact, like, to me, this feels very much like, we talked about this actually in the last podcast, of like Arc probably having some kind of vibe that feels a lot like Alhamat, where it was just like, I'm just going to make every card in my hand free, so I don't really care that I don't have magic stones. This feels like that same kind of vibe, but with the replicants. Because it's like, oh, are you taking game state actions? I have a bunch of replicants in my hand that are all quick cast. I'm going to start playing them for free because you're taking game state actions, and so I'm going to flood you down with replicant value, and if you don't act fast enough, you're going to die. Right? And so that's the vibe that I get off of Arc, that it's not Arc killing you, it's telling your opponent, by playing the game, I'm going to start drowning you in advantage off of these replicants. And that just makes me very excited to see what the replicants do. The rest of them.
Yeah, no kidding. He's definitely going to be like a ruler that you play for a lot of. I don't know whether he's going to be competitive or not because we don't have all the cards yet. But
yeah,
there's certainly something to be said about a giant eyeball that can kill you. Also, we should probably talk about why him not having keyword barrier, keyword eternal, but still having their effects is important.
Yeah, we have cards in this game that are like, does stuff to things that have eternal and barrier, and this guy can just incidentally die to damage, right? You can kill it with combat, right? So the idea of like doing a bunch of game state actions and then just casting a like Hellfire of the Demonic World on this guy to be like, well, I got you down to only having 2 stones left in your deck, Hellfire of the Demonic World, because you have barrier. Whoops, you lose. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like it's to try to get around stuff like that. And please to know, you can only play 4 of the stone, Arc's stone. He definitely feels, I will say that an Arc deck feels very differently than a Solaria deck that has Arc in its back pocket. Right? Because I think a core Arc deck is really going to rely on that front side of Arc a lot. Whereas Solaria is not. She plays a whole different game than I think than just like having Arc and then throwing it out there, has the condition of, which is exciting. I'm excited to build a Solaria deck with Arc in the back pocket, and I'm also very excited to build Arc and try to play that boy.
Yeah, he definitely feels like a final boss, which is, I think, worth the weight of a 1.5-year long cluster to like this. Yeah. This is the guy.
Yeah, And they even said it in the video, like, he's the final boss. He is truly the end game of these characters' stories and everything that we've been building to with Hero Cluster, which is very satisfying. I think it's very sad. This is also feels like one of the very first clusters that's really ended. Like, feels like when it ends, it's just going to end and we're going to move to a different story, right? Like, Rhea Cluster kind of ends with the reincarnation of everything. Like, that was the last time we really had that. But even then, it, like, spilled over into New Valhalla, and New Valhalla spilled over into Hero Cluster, and Grim Cluster spilled over into Alice Cluster, and Alice Cluster spilled over into Lapis Cluster. Like, it all kind of, like, continued to go on. Hero Cluster beginning to end has just felt like, this is a story. This is where the story is going to finish, and then we're going to be able to move on to other characters.
You could say that it feels
which is
like
really cool.
an arc.
Hey,
Oh.
dig it, dig it, dig it, dig it.
The hero arc.
Yeah, for sure.
The hero's
I'm excited.
journey should have had 12 sets.
And we only have one. We still have a ruler we haven't seen. That's a ruler side only, and we don't know what it does.
It's just a reprint of Grim, anyway.
We also haven't seen the bottom half of the new XR. And we also haven't seen what the new world cards are. So that's something I'm very interested about. And we haven't seen any of water. None of water.
The only water card we've seen is Replicant Alice.
Yeah.
And Genji.
Replicant Genji, yeah.
There are no.
I'm excited to see how these
cards
decks
in
start to
this
turn
set.
out. Yeah, me too. Dad puns are strong tonight. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Everything was just R? That's crazy.
We do have one other thing to talk about tonight, and that is the fact that they showed off the spoiler for the first Masterpiece collection, the poster for Masterpiece Pilgrim Memories. Damn. Like, this artwork looks so sick, and I don't know why Rhea's there.
Masterpiece collection.
It's just like,
she's
Because she's
always there.
important.
Masterpiece collection is the first one's all about Grim Cluster, and Rhea's there, I guess,
Rhea's
too. Like,
Sonic
why?
and Knuckles.
Yeah, exactly.
Featuring
So
Dante
it's
for the
gonna
Devil
be
May Cry series.
Yeah. So obviously we have Grim. Ray is just kind of chilling over there. Cheshire Cat, Little Red, and other Little Red, both present. What we know about this set is that it will have reprints with new art, reprints, and brand new support cards for these rulers, which has me very excited.
Yay.
So freaking cool. I freaking love this game. Freaking so good. No wonder I put on a massive tournament every single year.
Yeah, no kidding.
just freaking love this game so much. Babatunde, what is this for? It's for the Masterpiece reprint collection. The Masterpiece collection sets. They're going to be ones that cover multiple different clusters. It's like old ruler support. Dedicated sets for old ruler support.
Reprints and dedicated ruler support.
Yeah.
So this is like the Wanderer set.
But it's going to be these like
But
Masterpiece kind of spread out. They'll probably be smaller sets. I imagine they will probably be like Alice Origin style boxes where it's like 20 packs. Like bigger than Rebirth of Legends, smaller than a core set would be like how I would want. If they're not a Vingolf, style, I'd want them to be Alice Origins 20 pack boxes. I think that would be like the ideal set product design for these products.
I agree. That seems like a good sweet spot.
Will the remastered set be able to compete with the current power creep? I think that's kind of the point of these, is to give these old rulers new support to bring them their core engines up to the same kind of current level that we have. I think that's kind of the intent.
Like anticipate new fairy tales or things
Better
that
fairy tale
support
facilitation
Grim.
or
Yeah. Like the support Grim directly, etc. Like that's kind of what I'm expecting to see. And that's what'll make it a good product. If it's like able to bring Grim
especially
cluster
since those rulers
rulers
have
into
the extension rule. especially since, and they have talked about how Masterpiece collections will have more extension rules in them in the future.
Oh, great.
So
Perfect.
Masterpiece Alice Cluster might have extension rules for Alice Cluster rulers and Lapis Cluster and everything else. New Chimera for Fox.
No, don't do it.
Yeah.
I spy, don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Do it.
Don't give us another broken
do
Ilias
it.
pedal in this game, please.
But there you have it. In an hour and 10 minutes, we covered 4 weeks of spoilers.
Woo.
Mike, how did you enjoy not knowing what any of these cards did coming into tonight?
I'm still reading Arc, man. I don't know what to tell you.
What are your thoughts on Arc? I'm very curious.
Arc.
What's going through your mind?
See, I appreciate what they're doing with it from a top-down design perspective. Like, it's flavorful. It's very interesting. It's just like, I don't know. I feel like it overcomplicates a boss monster to the point where it's... I feel like the people that play it are going to like know the intricacies of the deck very well, and the moment somebody sits down to play against it, and they never played against it before, they're going to be like, oh, great. I have to do some real like peer-reviewed essay, just like running through it to see what's going on.
Hey, lesson number 1 that will improve your gameplay against Arc: main deck edition hate. Cool.
Perfect. All right, easy enough.
So that you can answer the Arc Gears Grail when it comes into play.
Yeah.
Kilo is just like the best card in the game, so okay, got it. The spell. The Fossil Girl.
Yeah, Fossil Girl in the City. Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah. There's a reason why we have it as a playmat for Foulfest. It's a good card.
Yeah, it's kind of good. It's kind of really good. Yeah, but yeah, I can appreciate it. I feel like it's gonna give people like the final boss vindication they've been asking for a long time, that most Darkness players think they're going to get, and then they realize that they have a shitty gimmick deck, and then they just sit down in front of their opponent, who just combos off against them for like 5 minutes, and they're just like, cool, hey, man.
You see that new Stein card?
I did see that new Stein card. It's not a villain card, no. It's not a villain Darkness card.
Both of them?
That's like a semi, like the 5 from last set were like protagonists, right? Like they're supposed to be like good guys. Yeah, they're all like okay.
Yeah, so but these are like the Stein cards here are like the villainized versions of them. Like they got corrupted.
Okay, that doesn't count though.
That's fair.
The regalia have been solarized.
Yeah.
No, the ultimate final boss ruler will always and forever be the Lapis Cluster Gil Lapis.
Double flip Gil Alhamat.
Double flip Gil Alhamat too.
I will say this truly does feel like a final boss that like has actual potential to be good, because like double flip Gil Alhamat was a pipe dream,
was a
and
meme.
bad
Meme.
double flip Time Spinning Witch was like, why flip twice when only need flip once? Like, just flip once. And, like, she was a boss monster, but it was like, it doesn't have the same impact. This is like, oh, no. Boss.
Yeah. This is like...
Typhon tried and then said, hey, that's all I got. And they were like, okay, Typhon, bye. Now we have Arc, who's just like...
Who's playing One Winged Angel in the background of the stool?
Yeah, exactly. Very much so. I am very excited to try out all of these rulers. I think they'll be fun. I'm excited to play this set. Like I said, I think this set is honestly shaping up to be very fun limited. Like, I think it could be very, very fun limited, which will be interesting to me. Lots of stuff to come down the pike. We'll probably do some shorts in the next couple days to show off the last of our like exclusive spoilers, and then we got Foulfest this weekend, so you will only see us here on the stream during commentary for Foulfest. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. Paul, you're only coming down on Saturday. You freaking not commentating on Sunday.
It's fine.
A
people want to see you.
I gave you a year and a half to get that weekend off, and you were like, nah.
No, it just doesn't work like that.
That's fair. So, thank you all so much for watching. Some more cool stuff coming up later this week. But until next time, this has been myself, DMO73, and I'm joined as always by Mike Rance.
My brain broken.
And Paul Reisman.
Drink your emergency before you get on the plane.
And we'll see you all at FowFest later this week. So until then, class dismissed.
Bye.